First John 3, verses 12 and 13. We should not be like Cain, who was of the evil one and murdered his brother. And why did he murder him? Because his own deeds were evil and his brother's righteous. Do not be surprised, brothers, that the world hates you. When we look at this passage of Scripture, we understand in verse number 11 that the apostle has just told us to love one another. That is the commands that this falls on the hill of. Love one another. So now here's a contrast. Here's an illustration, if you will. So this is going to be our illustration. We should not be like Cain. Right? So when you hear the name Cain and you see his brother, of course his brother's not named here, but you know that his brother is Abel, and you should go back to Genesis chapter 4 to see the story of Cain and Abel. These are two brothers, and we don't know a great deal about them, but we know that both of them brought a sacrifice to God. One brother's sacrifice was accepted, that was Abel. One brother's sacrifice was not accepted by God, and that is Cain. And so much speculation throughout the years has been into, why exactly did he accept this sacrifice and not that sacrifice, and etc. But John kind of gives us an answer here, because one's deeds were evil and one's deeds were righteous. And so John sees in Cain and Abel a distinction, a contrast between evil and righteousness. Cain's deeds were evil, and Abel's deeds were righteous. And so you can speculate all you want to about what the sacrifice was and all of these things, but we're told very clearly that that Cain murdered Abel because his own deeds were evil and his brothers were righteous. So that should be a sufficient answer for us, which is the opposite of love each other. So the opposite of love each other is going to, let's just put it under here, is going to be jealousy and hatred and rage, if you will. So these are some words that are going to fall into place here as an opposite or a negative illustration of what love one another is. Now, let's move to verse 13. John says, do not be surprised, brothers. Now, I pointed out to you in verse number 11 that John used the word we, and now he's using the word brothers. And so again, in the past, in this letter, he's called them children and little children. Now he's identifying himself with them as a brother alongside of them. And so he tells them, do not be surprised. This word for surprised has the idea of marvel or wonder. And so don't stand in amazement. Don't be surprised. Don't marvel. Don't wonder at what? Well, that the world hates you. So don't be surprised. Don't be caught off guard. Don't stand there and just in awe of the fact that people hate you. I know that we tend to think that we are pretty good people and we think that people should like us and all of these things, but man, they hate us. They don't like us. And the world, which is again, this is sinful humanity. So they do not like us at all. In fact, they hate us. And we could look at John 15, John's gospel, John 15, 18 through 21, where Jesus clearly says the world hated him. They're going to hate us. And so we as Christians should quit being surprised every time the world tries to persecute us and come against us, and to some degree should begin to expect that, because that's what they do. And what do? We love one another. There's a huge distinction between the children of God and the children of man. It's a distinction of love and hate.